Welcome to Starbridge Center's small video series. This time I'll talk a bit about higher consciousness. Human consciousness can basically be divided up in three categories: sleep or dream state, everyday consciousness, and higher consciousness. And yes, of course, these three states can be subdivided, but let us stick to the three main categories. Dream state, well, that is the state where all sorts of things can happen. You can fly, you can swim underwater with no breathing apparatus, and you can be chased by extinct animals, or indeed you can meet your dream prince or princess. Everything can happen. This is a state of consciousness where predominantly we are digesting what is happening in the two other states of consciousness. Interesting, you can learn a lot from dreams, and you can of course also be trapped in quite a labyrinth there. Everyday consciousness. The most characteristic aspect of everyday consciousness is its polarity thinking. Right, wrong, black, white, male, female. We categorize, we divide up in opposites. Most logic depends on categorizing into opposites. You know, right by wrong, wrong by right, and all that type of thing. This is how the mind works. And then higher consciousness, oneness. Higher consciousness is beyond words. So, to describe higher consciousness with words is actually a contradiction. You can't. How do you know you are in higher consciousness? Well, you don't know while you are there. You know on the way in and the way out. Or can know on the way in and the way out. The actual state does not have words. You are fully conscious, certainly, but you wouldn't categorize. You certainly wouldn't say, I am in higher consciousness. If you say that, you are not. You are in ordinary polarity thinking. In higher consciousness, there's no me. There's no right and wrong. There will be bliss. There will be light. There's a feeling of oneness. There's a feeling of purpose. But all these categories, categorizing, all this labeling, all this type of thing, is not there. That is what happens on the way out. Oh, I was in higher consciousness. This happened. If you sit thinking, am I in higher consciousness right now? The answer is no. You're in everyday consciousness. Maybe it's nice, maybe it's relaxed, but higher consciousness is beyond words. This is important because, let us say, when you meditate, if you are meditating and know you are meditating, well, then you are not in a higher state of consciousness. Higher states of consciousness is beyond words. This is completely common. Higher states of consciousness is not foreign to the mind. It is part of the mind. It takes effort to learn not to be in higher consciousness. Most small kids, if they have a somewhat balanced childhood, are in higher consciousness constantly. Completely absorbed in something. And next minute, very much in an everyday consciousness. So it takes learning to not be in higher consciousness. Unfortunately, that learning lies deep within us, connected to the very idea that there's something wrong with us and so on. So we don't deserve these type of states. The answer is quite simple. If you are human, if you are present right now, right here, if you listen to this video, for instance, you do deserve higher consciousness. It is a human aspect, just like sleep and everyday consciousness. It does not require deserving. The problem with higher consciousness is you cannot will it. You have to surrender to it. higher consciousness can happen out of the blue. I still remember a situation where it happened for me. I was in my early 20s, walking in a Danish forest, furious. I have forgotten why I was furious, but walking, or probably stomping, a stubborn blackbird decided to sing full tilt just above my head. For some reason that I cannot explain, I heard that bird. I surrendered, I completely drank it, and tears streaming in bliss. Then and there, I was totally surrendered to the beauty and joy of nature. Why I was angry before was unimportant. I'd forgotten it. All that mattered was that moment of bliss. So now, 40 years later, I still remember it as if it was yesterday. And I still don't remember why I was angry. So, higher consciousness is a very powerful experience. It will affect the rest of your life. And yet, they usually last a fraction of a second, few seconds, that type of thing. And they happen when you surrender to life. There's no doing. It's not possible to will yourself into higher consciousness. Just like you cannot will yourself to sleep, or rather you can will that you sleep, but you don't sleep because of your will. You sleep because you surrender and allow the process to take over. Higher consciousness is the door to why it is meaningful to exist. In everyday consciousness, your purpose is a role, a task. In higher consciousness, the purpose, the meaningfulness is existence. There is no higher explanation. Or, put in religious terms, you realize existence is divine. You are home. There is no distance between you and God. Higher consciousness is the goal of all religions and spiritual schools. All spiritual thirst talk about wanting to go home. Our home is higher consciousness. In order to make higher consciousness more likely, you need to like yourself. Not because somebody else tells you you're nice, but because your heart tells you that you are nice. So this comes back to grounding, integrity, dharma, all that, which we have touched in other small videos and in other stuff we're doing.